recording of this, so people that couldn't attend can watch it later. And we are good, I think. Perfect. Cool. Okay, so welcome. Good morning, everyone. I mean, we're from United States, Brazil, and Mexico today, so we're all in this time zone. Dealing with time zones is something that it's hard as a remote worker. It's hard when you're building a remote company. It's hard when you're a software developer, like dealing with like times and time zones is always a mess. So today it's easier. Okay, so I am Ariel Camus. I'm the founder and CEO of Microverse, and I've been working remotely for the last 7 years of my life, mainly not just working remotely, but also managing and building teams remotely. So today I want to tell you a little bit more about my personal journey as a remote professional. And we can talk about the pros, the cons, the difficulties, and the joys of working remotely. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Microverse and what I'm building to help other people become software developers, and a little bit about like the team behind Microverse and some of the success stories. I'm also going to give you some tips and some guidance on how you can start a career as a remote worker, as a remote software developer. That's independently of whether you do with Microverse or without it. There are a lot of good ideas and practices and tips that you can follow to get to prepare for like a remote career. And I'm also going to explain how the application process to join Microverse works, just in case you decide that can be a good option for you. And then we can just go and jump into questions and make this more like a conversation and not just me talking. So remember, you can post all your questions in the Q&A section as I speak. Feel free to post anything there. Cool. So I was born in Argentina, and when I was 12, my family decided to emigrate to Spain. We have someone from Argentina. Hi, Lucila. And we did right before the huge financial crisis in 2001. And to me, I always say it was like a really important learning and lesson when I was really young, because my parents helped me see that I was not limited by the place where I had been born. And my dad and half my family still lives in Argentina, and I love Argentina. And I know probably we have a lot of students from Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Nigeria, a lot of countries where we all love the places where we are from, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we want to be limited by sometimes more limited opportunities in those countries. So remote work, but most importantly, this idea that I can find opportunities and I can go anywhere I want, that was a really important lesson to me when I was very young. When I was 16, I went to college. I did computer science and telecommunications engineering. And on my last year of college, I made a crazy decision of quitting a job that I have gotten, a local job as a software developer, that was really paying me twice as much as most of my my classmates, to starting a company. That was my first experience as an entrepreneur, where I built with a team of developers an application that we grew to more than 1 million users. And it was a long journey. It wasn't an easy journey. Starting a company, building a startup, it's a lot of hard work. We worked probably like 12, 14 hours a day for 40 years, but we loved every single minute of it. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it's very similar to the journey of a software developer. When you're learning, it's a roller coaster, and there are a lot of ups and downs. We almost ran out of money twice and almost had to fire the entire team. But ultimately, we decided, you know what? We are competing with a lot of startups from the US with our app. We should be competing from where they are and have access to all the resources, the capital, the talent that they have. So I decided to move to the United States. And whereas maybe if I had stayed in Argentina, or maybe with different parents, going to the US maybe wouldn't have been something that I thought it was possible. Just just because I had moved to Spain and then went to college. Of course, there are like financial difficulties, and there are a lot of other things that are limiting us, but everything starts in our minds. So I decided to move to the United States. I moved to San Francisco. It was an amazing cultural shock because suddenly I was surrounded by, the offices of Google and Twitter and Twilio and, everything in between. And it was fascinating to be here. It was also really hard. It was a new place. From an immigration point of view, I got 3 different visas rejected. I got to a point where, like, in the immigration, entering the country, they told me, hey, this is the last time that you come with a tourist visa. Next time, bring like a real visa because you're clearly living here. It was a really long journey, but after like 2 years, I got my visa, I got my green card, and dealing with all the immigration craziness of the world, it's a pain in the neck. But the message here is that if you want, you can make it happen. Okay, and I'm gonna come back to this idea because it doesn't matter where you are. There are so many amazing opportunities around us, all around the world, and because of the internet, we're closer than ever to all those opportunities. So after a year or so running the company from the US, I had the opportunity to sell the company to a real large organization that has been in the travel industry, and my app was a travel app. It's a brand called Lonely Planet. It's a 40-year-old brand that prints 12 million books a year to help travelers travel around the world. And they have been doing technology also for a long time. I think they were like the 8th website available in the internet in the world. So I think that was in 1995. But anyway, they were still a publishing company, and they have acquired my company, and they hired my entire team to help them, get better with their technology, especially with their mobile technology. And when I got there, I realized that they were struggling really, really badly to hire people where they had their headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee, in the middle of the US. So that was an interesting moment because there were 2 other things that had just happened to me at that point. The first one is I had been in Burundi, in East Africa, spending 1 month there teaching in the University of Computer Science. And this was, it's one of the poorest countries in the world. It's really tiny. I was like in this tiny, tiny town in the middle of nowhere. But I remember going to this college, this university campus, and asking students, okay, what are your potential job opportunities once you finish your degree? And the best answer I heard was, I'll probably end up managing the local cyber cafe. So when I went back to the US and I saw that this company that I was now working for was struggling to find great developers, I was kind of mind blown because I had just came back from spending that month in Burundi, meeting people who were so talented, so exceptional, so determined. And I couldn't believe that they were so disconnected from these opportunities. I couldn't believe that this company was completely unaware or limited by just being hiring in Nashville, Tennessee, where they were at that point. The interesting thing was that even in San Francisco, where there's probably the largest concentration of software developers in the entire world, every single company, even like Google and Facebook, are struggling to find software developers, because even though there are a lot of software developers, there is also a lot of competition. There is a lot of startups. There are a lot of companies who are paying a lot of money to, poach engineers from each other. So at the end, it's so competitive that everyone struggles to find software developers. So during my time in San Francisco, I had the opportunity to meet Sid Sijbrandij. And Sid is the founder of GitLab. GitLab, as you probably know, is the main competitor of GitHub. They have raised $165 million in capital. They're probably going to go public next year. And Sid somehow accepted to become my mentor 3 years ago. And I was able to witness how they went from 6 people in their team to 700 people today. What's very unique about Sid and GitLab is that every single team member of GitLab is remote. They have 700 team members working from 55 countries around the world. And this is the first time that a large organization, an organization that is valued at more than $1 billion, an organization that has more than 500 employees, is showing the world that you can build a really profitable and great company while having a remote team. And then you can retain that team, that they can be happier by working remotely, that you can keep them, hold them accountable, and that you can be very productive. So it wasn't that moment. It wasn't the intersection of, coming back from Africa, meeting Sid, and working with this new company that was struggling to hire developers, that I was like, hey, you know what? Let me go back to Lonely Planet, and I'm going to ask them to let me build a remote team for them. And I won't lie to you, it was really hard to convince them. But once I did, I was able to hire a team of amazing like software engineers from 5 different countries in less than a month. And today, the 200 million people that are using Lonely Planet's digital products are using the technology that I built with that team. I managed that team for like almost 4 years, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. It was amazing how motivated the team. In fact, I was able to bring 2 of those software developers with me to Microverse when I decided to start the school. And it was at that time, after working with this remote team for a while, that I realized, whoa, companies are building huge organizations with remote teams. Investors are more open than ever to support companies building remote teams. There are more people than ever connected to the internet and being able to join these remote works and jobs. We need to build a school to not just teach software engineering, but also to teach people around the world how to think globally, how to work with other cultures, with other time zones, with other religions, with other backgrounds, how to work in these distributed environments. So they not just have the skills to work as software developers, but they also have the skills to be great in working as part of a remote team, so they can get to these jobs. And that was the beginning of Microverse. But you might think that when you want to start a company, you go to San Francisco. But what I did was the opposite. I left San Francisco to start the company, and I moved to Asia. And I lived in Asia. I lived 3 months in Vietnam, 3 months in Indonesia, and then the other 6 months mostly between India, Thailand, Cambodia. And I was building the company while living in this completely new place. And it forced me to not just be in a place that is much cheaper to live, because I went from spending $4,000 a month to be able to live in San Francisco to spending maybe $800-700 a month and have a great life in Vietnam. So it helped me understand that being able to change and go to any place in the world, it gives you this mental flexibility, but it also can affect your financial flexibility, because suddenly in San Francisco, I had savings for a while, but I was going to be burning those savings very quickly. But now in Asia, I could spend a very long time without having to raise money and and having to be in the pressure to need money from somewhere else and have to end up doing whatever the investors wanted me to do and not what I wanted to build. So I used that year in Asia to start thinking about the company that I wanted to build. And little by little, we started getting the first students, and we started building a team, and that took me to today. So what we are doing is 2 things. On one hand, we have realized that a lot of people who want to learn how to code, they are learning from home. They're using things like FreeCodeCamp and Code Academy and Udemy videos, and maybe videos from Harvard and MIT. But I'm gonna bet that if you have tried that, you can probably do that for 2-3 hours a day, a couple of days a week. But then you start getting distracted by your family or friends around. You get distracted by new tutorials and new programming languages. And you're like, oh, everyone is doing machine learning, so I was learning Node.js, but now I should learn Python, because Python is a language for machine learning. And so you're switching here and there, and you're never focusing, or you get distracted and bored and frustrated because you're alone from home. I always say that I consider myself a person with a strong willpower. I don't have the willpower to stay in front of a computer learning alone for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So the idea of Microverse was, on one hand, to give people an environment where you can be learning from home, but you are in a video call with people from all around the world, working together, doing remote pair programming, learning from each other, but most importantly, holding each other accountable. It is like going to the gym or going running. If it depends just on you saying, I'm gonna wake up early today to go to the gym, chances are that you will like bail many days. But if you have a sorry, not a coding, but a gym buddy that you go with every day, you know that person is counting on you. It's counting on you showing up in the gym, so you will do it. It's the same thing in Microverse. You have people that depend on you to make progress, and you depend on them to make progress. And because of that very simple idea, everyone shows up. And because everyone is in a video conference, sharing their screens, microphones, and cameras with each other, you can't get distracted by social media. You can't get distracted by your family because you are in that environment that requires 100% of your attention. But the other great part of this is that we're not just giving you this support environment to help you stay, hold yourself accountable and hold other people accountable and stay focused and on track, but we're also helping you learn how to work with people from other cultures, with other time zones, with other religions, with other everything, every imaginable thing that you can think of. In fact, as of today, we have students from 65 countries, and that's increasing every single month. All of them are learning full-time. All of them are spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for up to 9 months in this environment that is super collaborative. And I always like mentioning that we are, moving to a world where everything is changing really fast, and technology is putting people out of jobs, but people are like blaming immigration, they're blaming refugees, and people are afraid of these changes, right? And it makes sense. If you or your family are at risk of not getting losing your job because you might find yourself moved away by technology, then that is pretty scary. But I think that the people that will, own the future, the leaders of the future, the people that will thrive in the future, are not those that can only, feel okay with this world that is more connected than ever, but those that can take advantage of this world that is more connected than ever. So when you start thinking about the idea of thinking in a global way, where you're not limited by your local opportunities, and you have connections all around the world, and you have the skills to work with other accents, with other cultures, with other learning styles, personality types, any possible dimension of diversity that you can imagine. When you develop those skills, if you combine that with your technical skills as a software developer or as a designer or any other job that you can do online, you become what I call a global citizen. And our job at Microverse is to help people around the world become global citizens so they can thrive in this new world that is coming. So that is my story, and that is what we are doing with Microverse. But what if you're not ready for Microverse, or you can't, join full-time, or for any reason you don't want to join Microverse? That's totally fine. There is a few things that you can start doing today that are really important to think about when you are considering starting a career as a remote professional. The first one is to start believing. You need to convince yourself that it doesn't matter where you are today. You can be in Mexico, in Brazil, United States, Argentina, Nigeria. It doesn't matter where you are. You can start a remote career. Like any other career, like any other challenge in your life, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Okay, it's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of work, and you need to work smartly when you're dedicating your limited time and resources. But it is possible. We are seeing students from Nigeria, Mexico, Serbia, Spain, Colombia, Taiwan, Canada, from a lot of different places who are now joining amazing jobs. Most of them are remote jobs, not all of them. The way it works with Microverse is we prepare people for a marathon, not for a sprint. So maybe their initial job will be a local job if they don't have much experience before. And after 6 months, 9 months, or a year, they come back to us, and now we help them again, but this time they get a remote job. But in other cases, we have gotten some really amazing opportunities that were local as well. So we have a student from Kenya, Kevin, who is now working for Microsoft from Kenya. And he decided to not go for a remote position, but we helped him present himself to Microverse as an international software developer. So when he negotiated his salary with Microsoft, he didn't negotiate the salary as a Kenyan. He negotiated that salary as a global citizen. So he said, hey, I have opportunities with companies in California, with companies in Berlin, and with you here in Kenya. But you're Microsoft, you're a global company, and I'm a global, developer. If you can afford paying a global salary, then I want to work with you. I can't disclose the salary, but let me tell you, it's probably like 20 to 50 times the minimum salary of Kenya. Okay, it's crazy high. And we're also seeing people who, Sava, for example, Sava was 19 years old when he joined Microverse. He decided to skip college and he came to Microverse instead. And after he graduated, he got a local internship that then led to a local job, a paid job, that then led to a remote job where he was making he was making 8 times the salary of his parents. That was 6 months after graduating from Microverse. So we're seeing people from all around the world get into these amazing jobs that sometimes you start local and then you get to remote. Sometimes you start directly in a remote position. But the thing that they all have in common is that they believe that it is possible, and they believe that it was possible for them to get to these jobs. The second one is this idea of, global citizenship and perception. So when you are someone from, let's say, Nigeria, and you have a resume that might look more like a resume typical from Nigeria, not a resume typical from that a company in the US might be expecting, they might look at your resume and they will say, well, this person probably only has experience working in Nigeria, but not, in a distributed team. I don't think they're going to be a good cultural fit. Or maybe they have a really strong accent, and I'm not talking about Nigeria in this case. Nigeria's English is really good, but we all have strong accents, and that can also play in your disadvantage. Or maybe you're like portfolio. You don't have something that shows that you have experience working with real world projects. There are a lot of tiny things that you need to be paying attention to, that you need to work on. So when you introduce yourself to a company, they see you, one, as someone that already has experience as a software developer, and two, as someone that already has experience working internationally. And there are a lot of things like contributing to open source projects that you can do to get exposure to international teams, not only to real world projects that are used by real users, but also to teams that, by nature, open source projects are usually maintained by teams that are quite international. So that can be a really good way to say, hey, I'm a maintainer at this project where, the maintainers are from like 5 different countries, and we meet, twice a week or once a month to discuss the future of the project. And I review pull requests from people from 50 different other countries. So anything that you can do to show that you are an international professional, it will help you get that first remote job. But there is another part of this, and is you also need to have that, global mindset. And I keep going back to the idea of global citizenship, because you need to be able to work with other accents and other cultures and other backgrounds. And you need to understand, and you need to be able to feel, to be empathetic, to be able to really become a great collaborator and a great communicator as part of a team, like, let's say, GitLab. So the sooner you can expose yourself to other cultures, the faster you can get to that kind of global vision of the world. Another thing that is really important, and this applies to every single professional, every single person in the world, but I want to make this more specific to remote developers. You need to pick a niche and stick to that niche. So most people, they learn a little bit of JavaScript, a little bit of Java, a little bit of React, a little bit of Python, and a little bit of Go, and now they switch to Django, they come back to Node.js, and at the end, they become masters of none, because they have learned the basics of everything, but they are not really good at anything. What you should do instead is filter out all that noise, okay? And remember, there are jobs for any programming language that you can think of, because even if you choose a very weird, old school programming language, even though there won't be as many jobs as you might, find if you're looking for, let's say, Python jobs, there will be fewer developers competing for those jobs. Okay, so don't worry too much about the language that you pick. Pick one thing and get really, really, really good at that. It's much better to just be an exceptional HTML and CSS. Like, I'm not even talking about Bootstrap or React, just vanilla, HTML and CSS. It's much better to be an expert at that than knowing a little bit of that, but not being really good with CSS, and knowing a little bit of React, but not being really good at React. And then you get diluted, and your chances of getting a job are much lower. So find your niche and stick to it. This is also going to help you in a lot of different ways. So if you decide to do freelancing, and you want to like start getting clients on something like, let's say, freelancer.com or upwork.com, if you show a portfolio that and reviews from clients that are like all over the place, some of them are talking about your Python skills, some of them are talking about your front end skills, some of them are like React, and your portfolio also shows a lot of that. When a client looks at you, they're going to be like, no, but what I need is an React expert. This guy or this gal, they seem to like know a little of everything, but I want an expert. So they will just pass on you, and they will go with someone that just does that really well. But if you have a portfolio and reviews that are like very specific to one niche, you're going to get all the clients for that niche because you're the best, you're the expert at that niche. And because there are so many clients, don't worry, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to work on. So I always go back to this idea: pick a niche, stick to it. Context switch, it's also very painful when you switch from working one thing to another thing, to learning another thing, to learning another thing. You need a lot of time to like warm up and get back to speed. But if you're focused on just one thing at a time, it's so much easier to just do that. And the last part is what I call acceleration. So if you are spending, as I said before, 2-3 hours a day learning by yourself, and then you get distracted, and you have family around, and you get bored and you get frustrated, it can take you like 3, 4, 5 years to get to the level of expertise that you need to get a great job. But if you have other mechanisms to hold you accountable, so you can stay doing one thing, learning how to code, building projects for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, what you could have done in 5 years, now you could do it in like 9, 10 months, 8 months, or a year, right? So what we are seeing is many people, they let's say drop out from their careers as software developers because they lose their motivation and the support of their families, so they can become software developers. And the more you extend your journey to become a software developer, the more likely that will happen. And your family will come and say, hey, you have spent like 2 years doing this. You need to get a real job, right? And then you're gonna be distracted, you're gonna be tired, and you're not gonna have energy to continue learning to code. But if you can somehow concentrate that and do that, for 8 hours a day, and I know not everyone can do this, but the more you can concentrate, the more you can put every day, the better. The faster you get there, and the less likely it will be for you to drop out of your dream career as a software developer. And anything that you can put in place, any mechanism that you can put in place to help you with this, to help you stay focused and engaged and hold yourself accountable, the better. So Microverse, that's like 90% of what we do. You can also join like local meetups. You can go to a co-working space. You can try to find a coding partner in your city or remotely that wants to complete the same course that you want to do. We facilitate a lot of that through Microverse, but these are a lot of stuff that you can do by yourself. Just make sure that you find those mechanisms of support and accountability, so you can, the way we say it is like, you need to have this superpower of being able to focus for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. If you can get that, that's all you need. Believe that it's possible. Pick a niche. Work on how you're perceived as a global developer, and find the mechanisms to like supercharge and accelerate your learning. If you can do those 4 things, believe me, there are a lot of opportunities that are just waiting for you, because every day there are more and more companies who need software developers, and most companies are realizing that just hiring around them is not gonna be good enough. So those are some tips on remote work, but if you want to ask any question, you can do it. I want to spend a few minutes talking about the Microverse program, and in case you're interested, how you could apply to it. First of all, the application process. It's very simple. You have a few coding challenges that you need to pass, And remember, you can try them as many times as you want. There is no such a thing as failure in Microverse. You can try and try and try. And every time you try, let's say you didn't pass any coding challenge, you didn't pass any test. As long as you submit your progress, we'll give you feedback on what to do before you can try again. And you can try again as many times as you want. Once you get to the level that makes you think that you're prepared, you're going to move to the real test. Before the real test, there will be what we call a check-in that you have to submit with some personal information. You need to submit like a video introducing yourself and an internet test connection. We do this just to make sure that you have all the components to move to the final test, let's say. And this is a real like test. And again, even in this test, there is no such a thing as failure. You can try them as many times as you want, but you will be paired up to 3 other applicants, and you will spend 4 hours working with each one of them, building a project with HTML and CSS, and solving a couple of coding challenges together. And at the end of each one of those sessions, you will rate each other on collaboration, communicational skills, English level, reliability of your internet connection, quality of your microphone, professionality, and a few things that we think are really important for you to be a successful software developer and remote professional. So let's say that you didn't get a great score from your coding partners. That's okay. We'll let you know, hey, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to read and go through before you can try again. And we'll pair you up to 3 other people so you can try again. Once you get good ratings in your trials, you will be accepted into Microverse, and you can start the month after that. We normally accept, we have been accepting 30 to 40 people per month, and we always have to put some people in the wait list. We are accepting more like 50 or 60 per month moving forward. There are like 150 people going through the program right now. We're getting to like 600 simultaneous people by the end of the year, so like growing pretty quickly. But the most important part here is, remember, like, we don't earn a single cent unless you make money first as a software developer. The way it works is you have to complete the program, and if you get a job where you make at least $1,000 a month, then you start paying back 15% of your salary until you get to a cap of $15,000. And if at any point you quit or you get fired or anything happens to your job and you don't get paid, it's okay. We put the payment plans on hold. We assign you a career coach again. We introduce you to our network of hiring partners. And only once you get employed again, then you continue paying back. And this network of hiring partners, opportunities, career coaches is something that you will have access to as a member of Microverse for the rest of your career. Okay, so it's a huge additional, added value, because for the rest of your life, you're going to have access to a community of thousands of developers. Some of them senior developers, some of them mid-level, some of them junior, and companies will be like struggling or like, not struggling, but fighting to get access to that community of distributed talent around the world, and you can be part of that. Normally, the program, starts with what we call a core curriculum. We cover HTML, CSS, then we move to Ruby on Rails, JavaScript, and then React. We do a lot of data structure and algorithm foundations, and then we do career prep. In career prep, you start working with your career coach to review your resume, what I call before how you're perceived, like the perception side. So your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your angel list. We teach you how to interview for technical questions, for behavioral questions, system design questions. We help you how to negotiate, and your career coach will help you negotiate the job offers that you get. And only once you are ready with all those things, you start applying to jobs to help you find those jobs. And once you get a job, you start paying back. So that's how it works. There is a Slack community that you can join as an applicant, where you can show your projects and your as you go. If you're doing the pre-course work, and if you're going directly for the coding challenges, you don't need to join that Slack community. You can just start completing the challenge. We're going to give you feedback, and the process is pretty straightforward. But if you have any question, I'm going to post the email here. So admissions@microverse.org. If you have any question at all about the process at any point, please send us an email, and Gabby or Sharon from the admissions team, they're going to help you throughout the process. One more thing, we also have a referral program. So think about this for a moment. If there's anyone around you, any friend, anyone that you know in your community that has a good English level, that has a determination to become a great developer, who is a good, team player, that has some experience coding, invite them to join Microverse. And if they get accepted and they complete at least 4 weeks into the program, you will get a referral bonus of $150. And you can refer as many people as you want. You will get $150 for every person that you refer that gets accepted into the program. So, I mean, it's something you can take advantage of, whether you are a student or not. So please feel free to do it. So I'm gonna, end my talk today. Just with a reminder, and I know I've said this like 5 times already, so I'm going to do it one more time, is it doesn't matter where you are, okay? It doesn't matter which country you're joining from today. You can start a great career as a software developer. There are more opportunities than ever. Internet connections are getting better. Companies are getting much better at having the tools and the processes and documentation to manage remote teams. And there are a lot of paths to take you there. We have one path with Microverse that for some people we are happy to help, but there are a lot of other ways. So like, feel free to reach out to me if you have some questions in the future. Like, I'm happy to help. We do this not because we are building a company. We do this because we love helping other people. Like the day that Kevin got the job at Microsoft in Kenya, and he said we were in a video call, and he said, "Hey, my mom wants to talk to you." And her mom, was in the webcam with me, and he said, "I'm so proud of my son, but I'm also so grateful to you and Microverse for helping him get this job." Like, wow, like I could have, closed the computer that day and, go for a walk with a huge smile in my face, like feeling happy and feeling proud of the work we do. So we do this because we love helping people like you. And we think that, we work for like 8-10 hours a day, human beings. That's like half of our adult life that we are awake, if you, take away sleeping time. If we were going to be spending half of our adult life doing something, we should probably do something that we love. And we love what we do with Microverse. So we are really grateful that we can be part of this journey, whether it is through Microverse or by helping you in any other way. So if there's anything that we can do, please reach out to us. We know that we can't help everyone. We can't offer a part-time program yet. We can't, accept people that don't have a decent English level already. But we're going to be, getting better and better at that. If we can help you today, please do so. And just one last thing, in our process to help more people, we convinced recently a few investors to help us offer living stipends to people in Colombia and Mexico. These are some like Colombian and Mexican investors for now. This is just a pilot program, but we are offering a living stipend of up to $250 per month to anyone in Colombia and Mexico that joins the program, so they can help their families and themselves financially while going through the program. We know that many people can join because they can join full time. We're hoping this is gonna make a difference, and that it's also going to show us with some data that this is making an impact, so we can convince other investors to also make this possible in other countries. So please believe us that we are trying our best to move to other places and open other time zones and build partnerships with companies to offer like English training and offering living stipends in other countries. But if you know anyone that can fit the requirements that we have right now, please, if they work hard enough, we are going to let them in. We accept a very small percentage of people into the program, but that's only because people don't try enough. If you try hard enough, you're going to get in. Okay, that's it. I'm going to shut up now. So let's go to the Q&A. As I say, Carlos asking, the meetups in Mexico are official. So yeah, we actually starting next week. Well, in Mexico it's going to be in July, but this is going to be the first week that we do the first meetups in Colombia. We're going to be doing some meetups in Mexico next month, and we will be expanding that to other countries soon. But yeah, we're going to be running meetups so you can meet with other people in your city. You can practice pair programming. You can do networking. We think that can be a great way to find that accountability that I was talking about to supercharge your power, your learning experience. We're testing that in Mexico and Colombia. We're going to be doing that in other countries as well soon. So yeah, that is something official that we are trying. that was posted in the chat section. I'm going to move to the Q&A tab so I can see the question. So Lucila was asking, is the program a good fit for someone brand new in software development? That is my case, but I really want to take this opportunity. Thanks. Okay, so in order to join the full-time program, you need to have a little bit of experience as a software developer. But there is a very simple way to get that experience. We have what we call the pre-course work that you probably saw already, Lucila, where it's just some readings about computer science in general, just to make sure that this is something that it's for you. And then you have to complete some HTML and CSS and JavaScript projects, and then you get to some practice on algorithms. If you complete all those things, you're going to be ready to pass our coding challenges. And remember, you can try those coding challenges as many times as you want or you need. So if you, let's say you do the pre-course work, you do some practice, you try the coding challenges, and you don't pass them all, just submit them anyway. We will immediately send you an email with feedback. And the feedback can be something like, hey, it sounds like you're almost there. Go and do, practice these 10 other coding challenges. Once you complete them, come back and try again. So we see people that, get this feedback, try for, practice for another like 5 days or a week, they come back, now they pass the coding challenges and they get into the program. So it's not that hard. We're just trying to measure that you have the grit and the determination to start a career. If you can show us that, we're gonna work with you so you can get in. Guillermo was asking, how is the interview preparation training at Microverse? That's a great question. So the first part is what we call the online presence preparation, where you and your career coach, just to give you an example, one of our career coaches, Riley, they come from Amazon. They were a software engineer working at the Amazon Web Services team. So these are like people who are super well prepared, who they love coding, but they might not necessarily, want to do coding the whole day. So they're joining Microverse to help other people get to these jobs. So they have experience like interviewing people. They have experience helping other people get into Amazon. And Riley, for example, will help you with your online presence by reviewing your resume, your AngelList profile, your LinkedIn, your portfolio. We're going to ask you to work on a few open source projects. And only once you're ready for that, only once you are seen as a, very like, international and experienced developer, we will move to interview preparation. In interview preparation, you'll be doing a lot of like solo work on preparing yourself for like technical questions and algorithmic challenges. And then you'll be doing multiple mock interviews, initially with some students, where you're gonna do this like role playing, pretending that this is a real interview. And we're gonna give the fake interviewer a script to follow with questions and challenges to challenge you. And once you're ready, we're gonna present you to maybe one of our career coaches or to a professional developer in a real company, and you're gonna do a last interview with that person. But before you do that, your career coach will also help you prepare your behavioral questions. So these are answers to questions such as, tell me about yourself, or tell me why you want to be a software developer, or tell me why you want to work in this company, or tell me about a time when you had a conflict with a coworker and you had to use your leadership skills to overcome it. These are all questions that companies use to test for like cultural fit, and unless you're prepared for them, you're gonna sound not too confident. So we're gonna do a lot of preparation and mock interviews to get you ready for them. Once you are ready, once you complete all our graduation checklist and the final mock interview, we will work with you and your career coach to define a personalized attack plan that will depend on your circumstances, your experience, your priorities, your dreams, and where you are. And it can be a combination of internships, local jobs, relocation to other countries, relocation to other cities, remote jobs. But we will never force you to take a job. There's no way we can do that. We will give you our best advice on what we think is the best for you. And then you have to start applying to a lot of jobs, but you will continue being introduced to our coding, hiring partners, and you will continue doing weekly coding, coaching sessions with your career coach. So that person can help you when you get job offers. That person will teach you how to like negotiate, how to use that offer to create a sense of scarcity and urgency with other employers. So you get more than one offer. Once you get two offers, you can make them compete with each other for you. There's a lot of psychological tips that we can use while you go through that process. Adedeji was asking, is Microverse considering part-time program for CS college students? Yes, but not yet. We are going to be launching a part-time program probably at the end of the year or at the beginning of next year. So it's not anytime soon. And the reason is very simple. And we know this is, it's not a great reason for you, but we hope that you can understand. So we are a relatively new company, a new school, and we have, we need to do fundraising to be able to to pay the team and be able to, to run the school. And when we go to investors, they ask questions such as, okay, how many graduate students we have? How many of them got jobs? And the larger that number is, the more statistic significance that we have to convince them that it's worth investing in the company. So if we were to do a part-time program, it will take students twice as long to get to graduation, which means that it will take us twice as long to get the data that we need to keep convincing investors. So this is something that unfortunately we have to prioritize full-time program, but it doesn't mean that we won't be able to offer the part-time program in the future. In fact, it's going to be one of our top priorities, and we know that it's going to help a lot of people. Now, let me ask you a question, and we're going to continue asking these questions through surveys in the future, is what if we could, well, and I guess your case, Adendeji, is different because you're a CS college student. In that case, you can drop out from college to do Microverse. In your case, it will have to be a part-time program. But we are also hoping that for many people that can't join because they have a full-time job, by offering living stipends, we're going to be able to help them quit those jobs so they can join full-time, so we can get them to a better job. We know at the NG that the living stipend wouldn't be a solution for you as a CS college student, but we know that part-time will be a solution, and we're gonna get there eventually. So just hang in there with us. We're working on that. We're gonna make it happen. Okay, Jose was asking, does getting into the program guarantee the stipend support? I did read that it was a first come, first serve. Yeah, so while you're going through the application process, once you get accepted into the program, but before you join, you have to submit a form with some personal information to verify your identity, and you have to sign the contract as a student. When you sign a contract, if you are from Colombia, Mexico, as of today, you'll get an optional thing that says you can also, sign up to receive the living stipend. If you're one of the first people, and we have stipends right now to probably 60 to 80 people in the next 3 months. So, don't worry, there will be a spot for you in the next classes with a living stipend. But if maybe, if the stipend pilot doesn't go too well, we might have to stop it. But chances are that you will get, a stipend. If you don't, it's okay. You will go through the application process and you will know whether you got it or not before you start the program. The last thing we want is for you to start the program believing that you will get a stipend and then not get the stipend and then having to drop out. That creates a lot of problems for everyone. Don't worry, we don't want to waste your time. We'll let you know if you got the stipend or not before the program starts. Okay, I think that's all the questions we got. Okay, Jessica is asking in the chat, not in the Q&A. Remember to put stuff in the Q&A. But Jessica was asking, why is this training so long compared to other 3-month boot camps? That's a great question. So most boot camps are limited not by how long you need to become a software developer, but how long they can pay their teachers with the money that you're paying. And there is a huge correlation between the cost of a bootcamp. In San Francisco, maybe it's like $15. In some places in Latin America, it's maybe like $2,000 to $4,000. If you divide that by the hourly salary of a teacher, it will normally show you that it's around 3 months of a salary of a teacher. So they're limited by how much they can pay. In the case of Microverse, because we don't have that traditional format with teachers, we do everything with peer-to-peer learning. So you are learning as part of the group of students where you're holding each other accountable and you're building projects together. It's the cost per student is lower, which means that we can afford to spend more time with each student. But most importantly, the fact that we are only getting paid if you get paid as a software developer first means that we do whatever it takes to get you employed. So when we decided to do this like an 8 to 9 months long program, not like a 3-month long program, it is because we went and talked to a lot of different companies and employers, and we asked them about their experience working with people that came out of a bootcamp, a 3-month long bootcamp, and most of them told us, well, they were not good enough. Even from the best boot camps, the people that did well were either those that already had experience and they did the boot camp just like polish some of their skills, or people that join companies that have great like mentorship programs, so they can take people who are really really junior and train them. But if you go from 3 months to like 9 months of training, you can get to jobs that might not have like great mentorship at the beginning or great documentation, and you can still be a very effective software developer. So believe us, like it takes us much more money to train someone for 9 months and for 3 months. If we do it, it's because that's what we believe it will take you to get to a point where we can comfortably get a great job. Otherwise, we will never get paid, which means that we can't support future students in the future, which means that we have to shut down Microverse. So when we decide to do 9 months, is because we know that that's going to increase your chances of getting a job. Now, it's their diploma that we're able to have once you finish the program. Okay, so you will get a diploma once you finish the program, but no one will ever ask you for that diploma when you're applying to jobs. The only thing companies want to see is that you have, experience working in a distributed team, that you have experience working with other people, that you have experience in the technology, that you can pass the coding challenges, that you can complete their take-home assignments, but they won't ask for a diploma. In fact, companies like Google and Facebook recently announced in the past few months that they are no longer asking people to have a CS degree, a computer science degree, in order to join them. More and more people are now being trained in boot camps and online education, and companies are realizing that a diploma is by no means a sign of that person being a successful, computer science or software engineer. So don't worry about the diploma; you're not going to need it. The only case where a diploma can be useful is if you want to relocate to another country. Having a 4-year degree from like an accredited university, or like a master degree, it can help you with certain type of visa. So there are some visas in the US where you can only get it if you have a master's degree in another country. But even in that case, even if you do like a 9-month program or a 2-year long program, it's not going to help you. It will have to be a 4-year degree from an accredited university in order for that to work. Okay, one last question in the Q&A. Lucila was asking, is it easy to access to Coded by Her? That will be so helpful in my case. So yes, a Coded by Her. Okay, I'm gonna make a little disclosure here. When we look at the number of women in Microverse, they only account for like around 20% of the population of students. When we look at the number of women in the tech world in general, women only represent 20 to probably 15 to 20% of all the developers in the world. So we wonder every day, how is it that women are as smart, if not smarter than men, and they still represent such a small percentage of the tech world? So we know we're not going to be able to fix that in the entire world. We're trying to contribute with our little like grain of sand in these efforts. But I would say this can start from your side, as for like those of you who are men who are present today. Please make this world and make this space in Microverse or in your any job that you join in the future, make this a safe and supportive environment for everyone, right? And this is part of what I was talking about by being a global citizen. It's not about just about other cultures. It's about other genders, other like sexual preferences. It's about like any kind of possible diverse dimension that you can imagine of. Just make this a safe environment for everyone. Support everyone. You're all here together, chasing the same goals and the same dreams. You're all helping each other. So make this a great space for everyone. So in our attempt to help a little more, we have a specific referral program. If you refer a person to the program, you will get $150 in cash. But if that person is a woman, you get an additional $150, so that's $300 that you get for every woman that applies and gets accepted into Microverse. But we also have the Coded by Her initiative, where we have an organization that has provided living stipends for women that join the program. This is for any country in the world. You don't have to pay anything back because it's a foundation providing this money as a donation. And yes, there are still some stipends available, not too many, but if you join soon, there are stipends. So please apply. The sooner you get accepted, the more the chances that you are going to be able to get to one of these stipends. Jessica was saying, do we graduate as junior after 9 months? Yes. There are two main differences between a junior, mid-level, and a senior developer. Sure, things are more complicated than this, but I'm going to try to simplify it a lot. A senior developer is someone that has experience working with real-world projects at scale in production environments with real users. But also, it's a person that has experience managing, coaching, mentoring other developers. A mid-level developer is a person that might not have the experience coaching, managing other developers, but has the experience working with, production systems at scale with real users. So if you don't have that experience, you're going to be seen as a junior developer. Now, the way we like to put this is, well, first, junior is a big box, and someone with three months of experience is not the same as a junior developer with 9 or 12 months of experience as a junior developer. But also, by the time you graduate from Microverse, you will be a junior-ish software developer, but you're also going to be a seasoned remote worker. So most of the companies that we talk to, they tell us their main complaint they have about junior developers is not that they don't have a lot of experience with the coding side of things, but it's that they don't have experience managing their time, communication, asking for questions, finding answers. And by joining an environment like Microverses, where you are in that kind of environment for 9 months, working with other people, holding each other accountable, collaborating, communicating, reaching out for help, you develop those skills that will significantly increase the chances of you being seen more as a junior to mid-level developer, not as a junior developer. John was asking, when will the next class start? I want to study Microverse program, but I will not be able to until December because I'm finishing my master's degree. Okay, cool. So we start one class every 5 weeks, more or less. We could say like one class per month. So the next one is on July the 8th. After that, it's going to be, August the 15th, I think. But don't worry, we'll keep having more and more classes. If you go through the application process, you get accepted. Once you get accepted, you will get a form where we're going to ask you, when do you want to start? You can say December, you can say January, February, and if you got accepted, we're going to, respect your acceptance into the program. So don't worry about that. Okay, so I think that's it. It's actually exactly 1 hour after we started. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. As I said before, we love, by the way, Jessica, there is in our support.microverse.org, in our FAQ, there is an answer to the question about which kind of laptop or computer you need for the program. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. As I said before, I personally love helping other people and, mentoring and coaching people. I am also mind blown by the disconnection between opportunities and talent around the world. I have lived in 5 different countries. I've traveled to like 50 countries around the world, meeting people everywhere, and that disconnection drives me crazy. And every person, we are like 13 people in the Microverse team and growing quite fast. And every person in the team, it's crazy about fixing this problem. And we are all like grateful for being able to be part of the journey that you're going through. So thank you so much for being part of, for letting us being part of your journey, and let us know if we can help you in any way. We hope to see you in the coding challenges and trials, but if not, just reach out to us on Twitter or email, and we're going to help you in any way we can. Okay? And thank you so much for being here today. Bye-bye.